जय हिंद दोस्तों, मैं हूं मेजर मोहम्मद अली शाह and I feel truly honored and blessed to have a very renowned personality who needs no introduction at all. Many of us know him. He is former Director General of Police, Punjab. He held the appointment of Director General of Prisons over there as well. So I joked with sir sometime back over the phone. सर ने पूछा, अरे ऐसा नहीं होगा तो क्या कर लूंगा मैं तुम्हारा? तो मैंने मजाक में बोला, सर आप जेल में बंद कर देंगे मेरे को, और क्या? सर ने कहा, सर had a good laugh. वो दिन तो गए. Anyhow, a prolific speaker, a writer, an individual with very strong opinions, perfect. I mean, he is somebody to look up to and to emulate, with a lot of wit, a great sense of humor, a wonderful
Come on.
human being.
Don't
Absolute,
embarrass
sir.
me. Don't embarrass me, please.
A wonderful human being. And I had first met Sir. We were together on a television discussion panel. And when I saw a very cool person sitting over there, I thought, नहीं नहीं कहीं गलती हुई है भाई. ये जो यहाँ पे दाढ़ी के साथ बैठे हैं, cool की तरह, बहुत funky type है. This cannot be an IPS officer, cannot be.
आप गनीमत मनाई. असल में समस्या ये है कि हम अपना मुंह काला नहीं करते हैं.
See, what I tell you all, ladies and gentlemen, sometime back, a wonderful sense of humor. So, and then the insights thrown by the former DGP, my goodness, the analysis was bang on, so brilliant. And let me tell you, ever since then, I've been a big fan, highly inspired by Mr.Shashi. And
Yes,
one more thing I have to share. I'll quickly, सर normally वो जो introductions होते हैं वो बड़े फौजी तरीके से, the general, like अगर मैं जनरल ऑफिसर को introduce कर रहा हूँ, the general has held various command and staff appointments, तो वो तरीका वो normal, but this is like not that formal. So I will tell you one more thing. When
right.
sir logged in, he had logged in from his wife's ID, and I still remember ma'am's name, Rita, because I was ADC to a co-commander, Lieutenant General Manveer Singh Gadwal. His wife's name, incidentally, is also Rita.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's like, so the guest coordinator said, "Sir, आपका नाम Rita आ रहा है, चीज कर ले यार, कोई बात नहीं, Rita बुला रहा है, कोई बात नहीं." So anyway, sir, thank you very much and welcome to our show, and thank you so much for spending time for us, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind, you're welcome, sir. You're welcome. Right.
Thank
By
you,
the
sir.
by the way, right now also I'm on her laptop.
Great. But is ma'am there around? Please say hi to her if she's around.
Yeah, she was just gone out because she thought that, of course, she got slightly angry because I was kidding with you. I said something. You say, he doesn't behave. I mean, even gentlemen don't use this language. So, okay. So, yeah. She's absolutely impeccable lady. So she doesn't like sometimes this kind of small talk that I indulge into.
I love that, sir. I love that. And sir is extremely well read. He has vast knowledge about sher, shairi, about poems. We'll come to all that subsequently. And sir, before that, we would like to know a bit about your early childhood and what inspired you to wear the uniform and join the IPS, sir.
Well, my name is Kant, and I was born to my genetic parents. So I know I can vouch for it, and unfortunately they are not there to vouch for it, but I'll vouch for that I was born to my genetic parents. Well, my father was originally, though originally we are for Punjab, but ancestors had moved out all over here and there, this country and that country, and ultimately my father got into the IS. He got located at UP Carter, and that's where I was born, in a place called Bareilly. I had my basic education in different schools, different top-notch schools. और सबसे अच्छी बात है कि हर स्कूल से मुझे 1-2 साल बाद निकाला गया था क्योंकि बदमाशियां ज्यादा करता था मैं. वो तो गनीमत है कि बाप का, अब्बा हुजूर का उसमें थोड़ा बहुत रसूख था तो एडमिशन मिल जाता था, वरना एडमिशन भी ना मिलता तो खुदा जाने क्या होता. So that's what it is, sir. All about me.
सर एंड फिर सर हाउ डिड यू डिसाइड कि भाई ओके आईपीएस में जाना है?
देखो, सीरियस नोट पे कहूँ पहले तो, दूसरे नोट पे कहूँगा कोई और नौकरी नहीं मिली तो आईपीएस में आ गए. But again, on a more serious note, in fact, somehow or the other, I always wanted to go into the armed forces. And I got selected for the NDA. My grandmother didn't permit me to go into that. Then got selected the IMA. Again, my grandmother parted and she said, hey, sorry, you're not going to go there. And you have to continue the legacy, like with the family legacy, that, okay, you have to get the services. Then, since I was really in love with uniform, yes. And with my baton, we used to call it swagger stick, like army guys call it swagger stick. So I thought, why not? Hey, man, why not go in for police? And that's how I landed up here. And I was allocated to Punjab, which happens to be my original state. Though I was born and brought up in UP, like I told you, my siblings are still in UP in various services. Yeah. So that's what about me, all about me, basically.
Sir, that's lovely, sir. Sir, I was reading that the DGP of Maharashtra, abhi current honge ya, but I read this about a year and a half back almost, that he had not cleared the MBA exam 3 times, but now then he was the DGP of Maharashtra, and I was like so inspired because I also had failed my NDA entrance test, but
Yeah.
I
Okay.
but I joined the Officers Training Academy, the Short Service Commission, to do
Chennai.
5 years in the army.
Yeah.
So superb, sir. So you were always, so tell us a bit about your training days when you were training in academy as a cadet, sir.
Well, the training period was really good, and whether it's outdoor or indoors, and we had a lovely, fantastic outdoor in charge who used to shout at us, "Hey, you guys, you are waddling around like pregnant ducks. Don't do that." Then all those front rows and back rows and this and that. But it was real fun. When I look back at, I really enjoyed that period. Of course, then of course we used to, sometimes we used to, hey, kahan phas gaye? But yeah, of course that was real fun. That was real fun, and I'm
So,
happy that we had best of the teachers, and got some of the best of the sort of one-liners from there, which I still use. So it was really a fantastic period, the best period. And Hyderabad is my second home now. I'm
sir,
in love with Hyderabad.
sir, so like if for example, I am an IPS aspirant and I have just finished my graduation and I want to join the IPS, what advice would you give me? And how do I go about filling the forms? And where do I apply? And where would I go for my training? How long would be my training? And such things, sir.
Look, now the system has really changed. When we got it, the first thing, whoso is aspiring for services, the first thing that person wants to know, needs to know, is that the person should have the right inclination. Not today this, tomorrow that. No. Once the goal is set, then the goal should really be set. Not that running around here and there and there and here is not there. That try for this thing was like, I tried first for the uh, NDA, then I tried for the MEA, got selected in both of them. Then I said, okay, the police was my only thing that I opted for. And like I said, that things have changed a lot. Earlier, for the IPS, there used to be only 3 papers. For the main civil services, there were five, and so I wrote only 3 papers and got selected. But now the system has really changed. But I think that whosoever wants to go in for services, a person should have the attitudinal thing that yes, I want this thing and I want this thing, and the person's determined that yeah, hey, this is gonna be my goal. Then he's gonna try it every. I mean, he's not going to leave any stone unturned, and that's what it is. My advice to everybody is yes, convince yourself, take your time, decide what you want to do, then do it. And nowadays, somehow there are so many academies. Like I remember when I was preparing, there was lots of academies were there. Rao Study Circle and S. N. Das Gupta and a few more. They were there, but of course, I chose to study on my own. Those who think that they have to go, of course, they have to go to one academy or the other. No. And yes, while choosing the paper, now I'll suggest one thing: just study The analysis, these analyses are always available online. What papers are scoring, because the pattern of the written examination also changes from year to year to year. So this kind of analysis is available online. What papers are there, which is high scoring? Person can always go in for optionals, because a person has to purpose go in for certain optionals. All papers doesn't come out of his on whatever he studies out of his whatever his syllabus was. So just study these things and take it seriously, and rest assured nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you. God will be with you, and He will be with you because of your conviction. Yes, like there was some legendary thing that yeah, some guys, Arjun and this and that, those things are there. So that's what it is. You have to have the right inclination and don't deviate from there. Don't deviate from. That's my only sincere advice. And it's not necessary to burn your parents' money here and there and run after various institutions. Everything is there, everything is available, everything is. You have to know the parameters, how to prepare. If you know the broad parameters, there's no stopping.
And so, where do the IPS candidates, where do they go for training and how long is the training, sir?
Again, I don't know the latest thing. When we got selected, for the first 3 months, we were in Missouri, Lal Bahadur
Lal Bahadur Shastri
Shastri
Academy.
Station. So that was the course where all guys were selected for one service or the other. They used to go there for basic interaction, knowing each other. Because what happens in services, the most important thing that's required there is there has to be a proper kind of intermingling, knowing about other services, having friends all over. Because this is having friends all over is a big asset. That somebody is in this service, whether you're an IAS or IPS or foreign service or this and that. So this is very important. Then from there we were sent to Nagpur. It was a short course on explosive and detection of identification of IEDs and how to handle them. A short course on firefighting. It used to be there. Now I think that's slightly changed. Then off to Hyderabad, National Police Academy. There we were there for 1 year academy and real good ragada like you have in army. Real good ragada, and that ragada is something which really brings out the gem in you. And after that, for about 1.5 months, we were with army. I was like on Puri sector, right at the border, with seven Raj refugees. So that's there. Uh, then we come back and go to the state
So this
academy.
again, this is part of seven Rajrift. So you did an army attachment? क्या किया था आपने?
Yes, it was army attachment 1.5 months, and where we had to perform all those duties also, like on the being on the BOP sometime and this and that, and sometimes whenever we are free, Uri used to have the highest your baseball course in the world. Brigadier Jatar was in charge and having good fun. Yeah, again in that climate. Yeah, but again.
And you would wear the IPS uniform, sir, the khaki uniform that time.
Yeah, we were wearing not really. We were avoiding all the stars because in army also, when you are posted right at the border, you don't wear the
Yes.
sparklers. So we were there, yes. This your cotton embroidered thing, etc., etc. So yeah, we had lots of marches and sleeping in bunkers, and yeah, we knew how the army performs on the border. We developed good affinity, and still I'm good friends with Seven Rajref. Yes, that is the place which they trained me.
So that army attachment is something which all the IPS officers, at least let's talk about your time. At your time, at least, they all had to do that army attachment at that time, sir.
It was compulsory. It was compulsory because, like I told you, the reason behind this is interaction. Like when we go to Missouri again, we interact with various things. There are lots of situations, internal security problems, and that when we have to work with the army, right? Maybe right or not on the border, but even inside, there are certain emergencies. Like unfortunately, they come up once in a while. If you don't know the army working, if you don't know the army morale, how to behave when you are with the army, like in civil services, sometimes we are going for shortcuts. In army, you can't go in for shortcuts; they're not there any longer. But this kind of basic training and basic sort of knowledge of the army is very important for all of us. I'll say that even for the nowadays, I'll say even for the IS officers, because the way we are passing through one thing or the other, I strongly feel that IS officers should also be put on for this army attachment for 1.5 months or whatever they think it is, because they have to interact with the army. When I say army, I say armed forces, and they have to know their system, how to take orders. Sometimes we guys in the field, they said, "Hey, we are not gonna take orders." But go to the army, you will say the brigadier is there, then the colonel, full colonel, a lieutenant colonel, everybody will say, "Yes, sir, I, sir." They have to take orders. The most important thing is learn to take orders, learn to remain in discipline, learn not to lose your nerve. These are the basic things which we get to know and imbibe from the army. And Indian traditions of Indian army are really super wonderful, really is. We just want to live up to those expectations.
So your father was in the IAS. You never thought of joining the IAS?
Not really. Reason was one. Okay, now it doesn't matter. I can talk about it. My father was also as brash as I am. So,
I love the way you said, okay, now I can talk about it.
those were the days of this your what do you say rationing and all those things. Everything was rationed, whether it's coal or sugar or oil and this and that. One needs to have your permits to get in this and that. One politician told him to give certain permits, entire bulk, to some politician. My father said, "I'm not gonna do it. Sorry, rules don't permit." So he tried to act funny. He was one of the top-notch politicians, and he called my father to his office, thinking that he's gonna shout at him, and he did shout at my father. And my father slapped him left, right, and center, and that was the beginning and end of the matter. Then of course, he had to face the music also. But then I thought, hey man, I will go for a force. Police. I had no idea that police is also subservient to the politicians. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I thought कि एक बार स्वर्ग स्टिक हाथ में आ गई है तो ये बैटन को घुमाते हुए जहाँ पे घूमना है जो घूमो जो कुछ करो ये बाप का राज kind of thing. So I said, sorry, I think I'll go to the police, and later on realized that police is in the worst position. IS guys are much better placed than we poor police wallahs.
So just before this conversation, sometime back, I was in conversation with a very dear friend of mine, a senior from the army, Major Gaurav Arya. His father was the DG Police IPS, DG Police of Madhya Pradesh, and thereafter he was DG
I
BSF. And
know, I know his father. He lost his life somewhere northeast. Yes, there was a blast or something. Yeah, I
no, no,
remember.
no. We lost him just about a month back. Last month we lost him out
Oh,
of
Mr.
illness.
Arya. Actually, we used to
So,
have one DGP in the rank of one Mr. Arya in the rank of DGP. He was in northeast. My father's great friend, and he had lost his life to some explosion or something there in northeast. He was there. Yes,
oh, sir.
long time back. Yes.
So Major Gaurav was telling me that so far, because his father was this three-star general, DGP, police and all, and he had got commissioned into the army as a second lieutenant from
Okay.
OTA.
Hmm.
So until then, कि भाई, general DGP son. But then Major Gaurav has done very well for himself. He's made a very
I
respectable.
know this Jaipur dialogues and all those things. Remember?
Yes,
You
yes,
saw?
you're right, sir. You're right. You're right.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that. Yes. I've
Right.
heard of that.
So normally children of such towering personalities, they remain in the shadows of their illustrious and successful father. So tell me one thing: did you being the DGP of Punjab and being the position where you are, did it have any effect on your next generation?
Come again on that?
So like normally, children of towering personalities like you,
Talking about
they
my kids.
about next generation. It can be your
Okay,
children or
yeah,
your
yeah,
nephew,
yeah.
niece, anyone.
Like you know that when I saw my father's this thing with the particular minister, I started hating the IS. I thought that it was really bad. And my kids saw the way I was working. Like I also in my life bashed up three sitting ministers. God knows how many MLAs I've bashed up and whatnot I have done. And I also had to face music off and on. Way back in 1980, I was just given 24 hours to leave the state.
Go on.
and get out of it. Otherwise, they said that it was a simple murder case. One party wanted somebody to be implicated either. Sorry, this was a tussle between two powerful politicians. So my kids have seen it. So they say, sorry, these services are not for us. So they're not in services. My kids are now in US working there, basically engineers, and they're happy. There's a good riddance to the Indian administrative system. So no, they never thought about it even. They always said, "Hey, man, it's not our cup of tea." Because of course there were certain moments when this found me well tensed and everything. So they said, "Man, sorry, it's not for us, not our cup of tea. Sorry, it's for you. You press it. You press the music. We are going. Bye bye, Tata."
So my father was posted in Firozpur in Punjab in early 90s, 91, around that time. And that
Wow.
time, General Padmanabhan, who was the chief of the army staff
Yes,
later
yes,
on,
yes,
he was commanding
yes,
a division. So
yes.
my father was his Colonel GS, Colonel General Staff.
Okay. Yeah.
I went very briefly, I went to a school in Firozpur, in fact. It was, Punjab was boiling those days, sir. Midst of
It was.
insurgency.
It
Midst of
was.
insurgency.
It was.
And
Yes.
that time, of course, Mr. KP Singh, Mr. KPS Singh Gill, he did a lot of good work in resolving the insurgency problem in Punjab.
You said this thing. I just remember one thing. Once there was a senior journalist who was visiting Punjab during those days, and he was talking to. There was some discussion going on. He said, "Mr. KP Singh, Mr. KPS Gill stood up. KP, you said KP, get out of the room." You said KP just now, so I got reminded of that.
My goodness, sir. So, so you must have got a chance, sir, with Mr. KPS Singh Gill,
Of course,
sir.
of
So
course.
could
I
you?
worked. I came back to Punjab in 90. I was kicked out in 80. 10 साल का वनवास लिया. Then 90 I was here. Then he was the DGP. And yeah, we had tough time, but ultimately it was, inshallah, it was all success, and God is there. Yes, we succeeded. We succeeded. In fact, the entire Punjab police, why only Punjab police? The entire security forces of the nation, all the security forces of the nation, they were all one on this particular issue, and they were
Sir,
working, and there was no ego, and everybody knew. Like I said, the army training is very important. That's how to take orders. Then everybody took orders very calmly and seriously and implemented that, and that's how we got rid of that particular dark period.
yes, sir, sir. I remember, sir, the insurgency in Punjab. We used to go to school, and a school bus. There used to be a protection party ahead, a protection
Yes.
party behind the bus, and gunmen all over. And then we would enter the school, and every day there used to be some security threat, some information coming in. So it was. I've served. I fought counter-insurgency operations in Jammu Kashmir and Northeast as an officer myself. But I remember those memories as a child in Punjab because uske baad, sir, I must compliment the entire forces. वैसे the entire force, the armed forces, the police force, everyone, the security forces in
Yes.
Punjab for having eradicated insurgency terrorism problem from there completely. That's a very, very big achievement. At one
That's
time, sir,
something.
Assam was
That's
burning.
something, sir, and that's something which has never happened anywhere in the world. Eradication of this kind of situation, bringing everything under control, and it's never happened. Thanks to the Indian Armed Forces, Indian Police, all security agencies put together, and the able leadership of the officers who were there.
Absolutely, sir. So from Firozpur, we had gone to Husainawala border once. Just like in Amritsar, for our viewers, I would tell our viewers, just like आपने सुना होगा, हमारे दोस्तों दर्शकों ने सुना होगा, अमृतसर में वाघा बॉर्डर है ना, वाघा बॉर्डर वहाँ अटारी बॉर्डर, तो इंडिया पाकिस्तान परेड होती है वहाँ पे. वैसे ही फिरोजपुर
Was
में
that
हुसैनीवाला बॉर्डर है,
true?
वहाँ पे परेड होती है फ्राइडे संडेज को, झंडा सलामी होती है वहाँ पे. सो आई रिमेंबर अ फर्स्ट एक्सपीरियंस जब हम हुसैनीवाला बॉर्डर गए थे, वी गॉन देयर फॉर फिशिंग बेसिकली. तो फिश करने गए थे वहां पे डैम में, एंड वी वेंट टू द बॉर्डर ऑफ द परेड. वी वर enthralled. We saw the parade. We saw the steps that the Pakistani soldiers take in our territory. We go to their territory to hold, and it is something. It is something really amazing, sir.
No.
सर, मैंने कुछ पंजाबी फिल्में भी करी हैं सर. और
Really?
हाँ.
You were hero Ranja there in.
और
Just ask him. You did perform the role of Heer or Ranja.
sir, you said that with such a straight face. I was wondering, अब मैं क्या बोलूं? And इससे पहले जब हम फोन पे
And I,
गुफ्तगू कर
was-
रहे
I,
थे,
I
आपने
was
बोला
expecting. I thought that maybe since you don't, I thought that maybe you don't know Punjabi and this. Maybe I was expecting. I was hoping and hope that you will say Heer.
एंड इससे पहले लाइव आने से पहले हम फोन पे गुफ्तगू कर रहे थे, तो आपने बोला मियां अगर मेरे से ताल्लुक रखना है ना, तो मैं डर गया, मैं सावधान हो गया बिल्कुल, पता नहीं क्या बोलने वाले हैं सर। तो भैया ये तकल्लुफ छोड़ना पड़ेगा पहली बात तो,
Of
एंड
course.
बेतकल्लुफ हो जाओ बिल्कुल। So, sir, and sir, to be very honest, you are so senior, but I see a friend in you, and that is something which I compliment I'm giving you, which means a person, a small child, a youngster, anyone can relate and connect with you, sir. Irrespective of your age, your seniority, your
God's
experience,
grace, God's grace, God's grace,
you're truly gifted, sir. You're truly gifted.
God's grace, sir.
अच्छा, तो जब मैंने पंजाबी फिल्में करी, तो उसमें मेरे को पंजाबी सीखनी पड़ी थोड़ी बहुत, और फ्लुएंट पंजाबी, ठेठ पंजाबी। जैसे कि एक लाइन है मेरी, वो और मैं यूपी का भैया हूँ सर।
Okay, you born in UP too? Where?
यूपी फ्रॉम मेरठ सर।
Okay, right. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great, really. मेरठ की तो लैंग्वेज बिल्कुल अलग ही लहजे में बोली जाती है।
बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। तो मैं पंजाबी में सीखी ऐसे, जैसे कि पराबे कर ले रे हैं, किताबा नहीं लेना कुछ, आए वर्दिया नाल गल करन दी करनी चाहिदी है, गुरुआ नु मुड़ के नहीं देखता कन। So I had to speak in that kind of manner.
No, sir, you don't know Punjabi. Because you are not using adjectives.
Sorry, but anyway,
You
I
are
was
not
feeling
using
that बहुत
adjectives.
साल हो गए।
मैं कह रहा हूँ you are not using adjectives, sir.
मैं डर गया, मुझे लगा कि अच्छा होगी सर। विदाउट एडजेक्टिव्स ना, फौज में भी अगर कोई बंदा पंजाब रेजिमेंट में या सिखलाई पार्लर में जाता है, and if he does not, as an officer, if he does not use adjectives while addressing the troops will talk, मजा नहीं आया साहब की ब्रीफिंग में,
मजा नहीं आता,
साहब में दम नहीं है, साहब में दम नहीं है।
You're right. The same thing about police. When we used to address, though, naturally we have to use heavy adjectives. Yes. वो क्या होता है ना, camaraderie आ जाती है. Yes, the same level.
Correct sir. और वही opposite है in the South Indian Paltons, say Madras regiment. अगर गलती से भी बोल दिया ना, अरे bloody ये नहीं हुआ, तो the guy will feel very bad. साहब ने आज गाली दिया, दिल को बहुत feel हुआ. So it's, even if you're not abusing him, it's the opposite there. साहब ने आज गाली दिया, बहुत feel हुआ.
Yeah, their atmosphere and the kind of life they live, yeah, that's totally different. That's what dignified. That's what my wife was shouting at it. Short while ago when I was kidding with you. He said, "Why you are using this kind of language?" She's not South Indian, by the way. She's from Haryana. And she knows. I'm sure that she knows better adjectives than I do.
Great sir, lovely sir. ये बताइए मेरे को, पंजाब में अभी पाकिस्तान में क्या हो रहा है ना, ये लोग तो हमारा मुकाबला नहीं कर पाते किसी भी तरह से। they tried a proxy war with us by training the chaps, उनको पंजाब पाकिस्तान में लेके कामयाब नहीं हुआ। हमारी पुलिस, स्टेट पुलिस, आर्मी, आर्म फोर्स, BSF ने उनको मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया। So now these guys try to do narco terrorism. They tried dropping drugs at the Punjab border also, in Jammu Kashmir border also. And sir, you are known for curbing the drug menace in Punjab. There was a film which came called Urta Punjab. देखिए सर आपने वो फिल्म, ये नाम सुना है उसका?
Yeah, they talked to me about the basic this thing, and I had given them certain ideas how to go about it. Yes.
Sir, so Abhishek Chaubey had made that film, and Shahid Kapoor, who had done the lead role. Sir, Shahid के साथ in 2001 we were together in the same acting classes. Shahid Kapoor, Randeep Hooda, myself, नसीर साहब की एक्टिंग क्लासेस थी एनएसडी में. Nasiruddin
Okay.
Shah Saab. He was
Yeah.
training the NSD third year students. So we all
Great.
had trained under him. Randeep and Shahid came to Bombay and became stars. I joined the army immediately after that and earned stars on my uniform, sir.
Great.
So,
This star is better than that
sir.
stardom. Yeah, these stars are really
Ji, sir.
fantastic, and they are a bright position that these stars are, and they remain so all over the life. Yes, these stars are much better than any other those stardom in this and that. Yes.
जी सर. सो तो ये बताइए व्हाई सो मच ऑफ ड्रग मेनेस. आप लोग बहुत काफी हद तक कम हो रही है थैंकफुली. बट आपने बहुत योगदान रहा है आपका. एंड लॉट ऑफ कंट्रीब्यूशन, लॉट ऑफ सपोर्ट, अ लॉट ऑफ योर एफर्ट्स इन कर्बिंग द ड्रग मेनेस इन पंजाब. व्हाई was there so much of drug menace in Punjab, sir? Why Punjab? Though I have served in Northeast, I have seen there was a lot. I was the Assam Rifles and I was ADC to two general officers in Nagaland. So I've seen drug menace over there as well. So,
They are
but
from the triangle. Here we have from the crescent. Yeah.
जी सर, तो पंजाब में इतना ड्रग menace क्यों हुआ था सर?
Ah, it's a long story. But to cut it short, I'll just speak in short little sentences here and there. Some of the guys out there that your audience they might feel otherwise also, and but again I speak the fact whether a person likes it or not, no problems. Look, in 70s there was a movement which was going on in Punjab, sort of social reform movement with religious overtones. uh, the main thing was don't take alcohol, etc. So that's how it started. Later on, it just went totally haywire and at a tangent, and they just lost the initial ideology and wisdom and whatever they had. So pe- there used to be attacks on liquor shops, and they used to burn down this thing that thing, and Punjab naturally, because people are hard working here, the basic drugs which were here was opium and this what you call desi daru kardi katti jadi hegi hai. एक चीज होती है लान. Lan is basically jaggery and water, etc., ferments, and then you say they take it out to the country made liquor. That was there. They used to attack these places, etc., and regular shops also. So there was, our liquor was not available as such openly. That was the time when Punjab, besides your west coast of Bombay, there were two major routes for smuggling of gold. Haji Mastan and company there. And Punjab lost her big families, some of which were also in politics. They were all into gold smuggling thing. And gradually, the prices of gold slightly stabilized internationally, and the profit margin got reduced to bare minimum. That was the time when Pakistan first pushed in drugs. I'm talking of heroin, grade 3. Uh, grade 2 was earlier also available, what we call brown sugar and this and that, but grade 3 they started pushing it. But it was not for consumption for Punjab, because where all these drugs ultimately, major chunk, about 50%, land up in United States, followed by Europe, etc., etc. So it went on. All these persons who were earlier in gold smuggling, they just got into it because they thought that's gonna make quick buck. But the problem was that quick buck is fine, but the drug when it goes abroad, it gets sold off, and they had to invest whenever they had to get these drugs from Pakistan. They had to invest it like a normal shopkeeper. They were getting their money late because hawala etc. That also takes time. Then they thought that why not start experimenting? Why not pass a bit of this white thing over to the local population. I remember the first haul of heroin which was recovered sometimes in 80s, early 80s. We didn't know what the hell it is. We were zapped, what is this white powder? But of course, that it was sent to various labs, etc. It turned out that it is heroin and it led to grade 3, very, very, the best heroin that can be there, grade 3, because it was all for going abroad, for export, if I can use that stupid word. So then they started sort of adulterating it and selling it. And gradually people got into it, because after adulteration prices got reduced terribly and immensely, and people started using it. And once this thing comes up, then they are all addictive drugs. And then of course there are lots of other reasons. Then there were no jobs, peer pressure, peer group pressures, and persons wanting to go away abroad to get out of the situation. Then they had to sell off their land. Some could make it to go abroad legally. Some, or lots of persons went out illegally. That's how gradually it started getting into the society. And gradually this is a situation now that we have got heroin, we have got pharmaceutical drugs, of course we have cannabinoids, we have got inhalers, we have got designer drugs, and all sorts of things. And to make the matters worse, now that we have got your uh, dark sell market, you can get anything. And now recently lots of cocaine was also recovered. Of course cocaine, that's a South American product that comes basically via, they used to come through Bombay and Goa, but of course now Delhi and all the places are also becoming a big thing. And now that you've seen recently, some containers were now the seat of talking about the routes. Yes, earlier they used to come through the land routes, but uh, then we had our this barbed wire and lighting arrangement. Then they said, okay, try to send something through drone, tossing over the wires. Then now the biggest thing is your uh, sea route, thousands and thousands of kilograms. So this drug has been, I'm talking to drug, by drug I mean heroin, has been recovered. That's the situation. Gradual getting into this drugs and intoxication gradually, and that's how it starts. In a couple of lines, this is the thing that was, I can write an entire book on it.
So, so ganja, grass, and hash and charas. So these are drugs and they're banned actually. But there are people, even nowadays, the youngsters, kabhi kabhi slam hai, it's considered very cool among them, which is nothing cool about it. So the youngsters, or
Unfortunately,
especially the musicians, like Northeast mein tha main. So Northeast mein wo, they're into, heavily into music. Like when
yes.
I was in Kohima or in Shillong, they used to have this music festival and all, jazz band. So they think it's something very cool. So what happens if you are caught with small quantity of ganja for self-consumption? You can be arrested, right? If I'm not mistaken, sir.
Yep, they can.
So isn't it many times it's very obvious, very evident. You find youngsters, teenagers, college boys wearing a weed t-shirt, गांजा बना हुआ है शर्ट के ऊपर गिटार लेके वो घूम
It's
रहे
a
हैं.
trend. It's a trend now. It's a trend now. And the most this ganja or hash or grass or whatever you call it, we call it just cannabinoids. Uh, the best quality is in Himachal, Malana cream, that
Banana
fetches
cream.
immense amount of money abroad. And the situation there is, and this is Upper Parvati region. Parvati is a river. Upper Parvati River region. Then there where there was Malana cream. This thing, you'll find Russians sitting there and this and that. And most of these areas, they don't permit Indians to go in there. Situation is extremely bad. And of course, now I understand that Himachal is planning, tinkering with the idea of trying to legalize it. Of course, it's a medicinal thing as well. For that matter, in fact, most of these drugs that are used for this purposes, they're basically were used for medicine. Like, what is this heroin? Uh, it was just, what do you say, that pethidine and morphine, basically they're just you know, improved upon those things, and but they were all basically used for medicinal purposes. Various inhalers that come in, uh, they're also for that. All the medicines that they use, basically they are all medicines, pharmaceutical medicines which they are using. So it's a complex field where this medicine and drugs and also all those things have got really. And then ephedrine is being misused, pseudoephedrine being misused, and unfortunately, government of India doesn't have a foolproof and sane drug policy for the entire nation. They don't have. They don't have. That's a very sad state of affairs.
So, sir, एक चीज और sir, your brother was also, your brother is also an IPS officer, if I'm not mistaken, sir.
No, isn't IS, yeah. मैं घर में
IS.
नालायक मैं घर में नालायक था. मेरी सिस्टर भी आईएएस में थी, वो भी आईएएस में था, मैं नालायक था घर में.
अरे सर क्या बात है क्या
I,
बात-
I used to be shunned within the family. Police wala hai, so कनाडा छोड़ो.
Sir, in the army, I've heard a lot of generals speak that when they were commanding the battalion or the regiment, that command has been their best tenure. उसके बाद brigade command, div command, co command, army command, आप चीफ भी बन जाए तो वो बात नहीं रहती ऐसा कहा जाता है. So I've seen
Yes,
my father when he was a commanding officer. I got commissioned in the same regiment as his. In fact, sir, I served for a year under his command.
great,
I was his ADC.
lovely.
When he was commanding a corps. It sounds very glamorous, sir. Magar, it was the most done up period of my life. He was so strict. Obviously, I had to salute them. Sir, my mother was ma'am, never went to the house. And ADC is supposed to be like the sun.
Yes,
यहाँ पे the
yes,
ADC was the sun.
yes.
I
True,
rather, instead of ADC being close to the general, I had to distance myself from the general.
true.
And after he came to Delhi thereafter as the deputy chief. Then, sir, the next general officer, General Mandeep Singh Dadwal, his brother was the commissioner of Delhi, Mr. Y.S.
Okay,
Dadwal.
okay. I know that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Acha, yeah. That's right. Yes,
So
he
I
was in
served
Chandigarh also.
as General Dadwal's ADC for a brief while.
Mhm.
So it was, sir, I want to ask you, are you in touch with any of with your ADCs first? Tell me that, sir.
With the
With your ADC, sir, when you were the ADC of, I mean, when you were the DGP of Punjab, sir.
mm-hmm. Then I
Are
was
you
in
in touch
touch
with
with
your
those.
ADC? Are you in touch with your ADC, sir?
In police, we don't get ADCs. Of course,
Oh,
I
okay.
was ADC to the governor of Punjab. Here
Oh,
we,
okay.
yeah, here we call
Who
them
was the governor at that time, sir?
Nawab of Loharu,
Oh,
Amanuddin Khan.
oh, okay.
He's connected. I think his daughter is married to Rampur family.
Right.
So
So
he
even
was,
General Jacob was the governor of Punjab for a while.
yes,
General
yes,
Jafar
yes,
Jacob.
yes, yes. That's
My
right.
father was his staff captain when I was born,
Okay.
1979. So he was very, and in fact, we knew General Jacob like on a very close wicket, extremely
Great.
close wicket. He was like a grandfather
Lovely,
to me, actually.
lovely, lovely. That's really
Sir,
great.
sir.
Nice. It's
So,
good to remember about all those periods and the phases. Yeah.
sir,
Yes.
so I've heard the generals speak that when they were commanding their battalion or the regiment, that was their best command. So you have done, then you have been SP, you've done all, you've then ultimately retiring as a DG rank, sir. So which has been your best tenure? Do you feel that the SP tenure was probably more enjoyable than the DG tenure?
Two things. I won't talk about myself, but I'll talk about one of my friends. He rose to be the DGP of Maharashtra also. When I was DGP Maharashtra, one of his relatives, he was telling us, yes, one of his relatives came to meet him, and simple tune, but होगा जरूर बंदा जो आया. कहना सर ये बताओ आप डीजीपी तो बन गए हो एसएचओ कब बनोगे.
My God, sir, sir, you will not believe this,
Uh,
sir.
yeah,
I was talking to Mrs. Padmanabhan a few days back, sir. We spoke about
yeah,
General Padmanabhan. So our family has been very, very close to their family, in fact. So my father was General Padmanabhan's Colonel GS. Told me they were very, very close. So
yeah.
Mrs. Padmanabhan told me that when they retired, they settled in Chennai. So people over there did not have much of knowledge. So they were asking the chief, भाई ये चीफ से रिटायर हुए थे ये जनरल थे अच्छा 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 ओके आप मेजर नहीं बन पाए they were asking that. So
Yeah.
the same thing what you said. So we
Yeah.
had a great good laugh over that, sir.
And this
So,
gentleman friend of mine, he didn't know where to look. एसएचओ कब बनोगे डीजी तो बन गए एसएचओ कब बनोगे बताओ.
sir, sir, आपने you were AC to an illustrious governor, and his daughter is married in Rampur. Sir, उससे ना मेरे को रियासत लोहारू की कहानियां याद आती हैं. My
अरे लोहारू
uncle.
साहब लोहारू कहानियां तो हम कभी आपको सुनाएंगे पर टीवी पे नहीं. He was a great person, great personalities, and when he used to start with the stories about Loharu and this and that good old times, and Begum Bhopal and Rampur and this and that. My God, the lovely, 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 lovely evenings we had together. Lovely evenings we had together.
So, my uncle was acting in fact, when he was studying as a student at FTI, Film Institute, Nasir Saab, Mr. Nasiruddin Shah. So,
Yeah.
that time, he learned that Gulzar Saab was making a film on Mirza
Mm.
Ghalib. And he
Okay.
was planning to cast either Amitabh Bachchan or Sanjeev Kumar in the lead as Mirza Ghalib. So, as a student, he wrote a letter to Gulzar Saab, राइटिंग दैट अगर आपने मिर्जा गालिब पे फिल्म बनाई और अगर आपने अमिताभ बच्चन साहब को या रणवीर साहब को कास्ट किया एज मिर्जा गालिब, ये आपकी सबसे बड़ी गलती होगी, क्योंकि इस रोल पे मेरा हक है. मैं अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ा हूँ, उर्दू मेरी मादरी जुबान है, मेरे को अच्छे से आती है, मैं ट्रेन एक्टर हूँ और वो
I've,
रोल मेरे को चाहिए.
I've seen that when nobody could have done justice, जैसे नसीर साहब ने उसमें किया. वो तो चाहे कोई भी हो, कोई इस रोल में फिट नहीं हो सकता था. नहीं हो सकता, बिल्कुल नहीं हो सकता. वो जो तहजीब है, अमेरिका देखा है मैंने, नसीरुद्दीन शहमत अहमद साहब का, जब लाहौर जाते हैं वहाँ पे जो कौन सा है वो बारूद खाना, कोठी बारूद खाना, वहाँ पे जो जश्न होते हैं इसमें जो करते हैं. और देखिए उर्दू लैंग्वेज इतनी खूबसूरत है, उसका लहजा जो है वो शायद हर इंसान उसको नहीं ले सकता है. It's more kind of poetry. It's poetic. So only he could do justice, and he did absolutely perfect justice to that.
तो
Poetic language.
Ghalib Saab in his time, for our viewers, I would tell them, our viewers, that Ghalib Saab in his time would write letters. The way in today's world we send WhatsApp messages, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, उस तरीके से तब खतूत is a
Yes.
plural of खत लिखे थे. तो I learned those letters, ज़बानी मेरे को आते हैं, मेरे जहन में है, दिमाग में है, by heart. So,
Wow.
एक बड़ा उनका बहुत ही उम्दा चेस्ट उर्दू में खत है, मेरा फेवरेट खत, जो कि सर 8 मरतबा पढ़ने के बाद मुझे हल्का हल्का समझ में आया वो कहना क्या चाह रहे थे. दरअसल सुनेंगे आप?
Nine. जरूर जरूर इरशाद.
So Mirza Ghalib's best friend, his close aide Mirza Taftar's beloved, passes away. He writes a letter in condolence. ताज़ियत में वो खत लिखते हैं. वो लिखते हैं, गम ना खाओ, चुना जान ना सही, मुन्ना जान सही. जब मैं बहिश्त का तसव्वुर करता हूँ और सोचता हूँ कि अगर मगफिरत हो गई, एक कसर मिला और एक हूर मिली, अखामत जावेदानी है और उसी ने एक बख्श के साथ जिंदगानी है. इस तसव्वुर से जी घबराता है और कलेजा मुंह को आता है.
वाह, बहुत खूब.
हाय हाय वो हूर अजीरन हो जावेगी, तबीयत क्यों ना घबरावेगी. मियाँ
बहुत खूब.
होश में आओ, कहीं
बहुत
और दिल लगाओ. एंड इट टुक मी 8 रीडिंग टू अंडरस्टैंड. इसका तर्जुमा जो है सर बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है. अगर
आप समझ गए, अपने व्यूअर्स को समझा सकते हैं. मुझे समझ गया, मुझे तो थोड़ी बहुत आती है, समझ जाता हूं मैं. यस,
गम ना खाओ, डोंट बी सैड.
डोंट बी सैड.
चुना जान ना सही, मुन्ना जान सही, ये नहीं मिली तो वो मिल जाएगी. जब मैं बहिश्त का तसव्वुर करता हूं, when I think of the day of paradise and I think that the world has come to an end, और अगर मगफिरत हो गई, मेरे सारे गुनाह माफ कर दिए गए हो, मेरे को जन्नत नसीब हो गई है, एक कसर मिला और एक हूर मिली. कसर is like a castle, a palace, a beautiful mansion. I'm staying in a palace. और एक हूर मिली. हूर is a beautiful lady, a beautiful damsel, and हूर परी, an angel.
मियां बेगम साहिबा तो आसपास नहीं है कहीं?
है सर?
बेगम साहिबा तो नहीं आसपास कहीं?
आसपास नहीं है. एक कसर मिला और एक हूर मिली, अखामत जावेदानी है और उसी नेक बख्श के साथ जिंदगानी है. Which means now there's no afterlife hereafter. I have to spend my entire life in that castle with that beautiful hoor. So even though she's so beautiful, she's a नेक बख्श, अच्छी इंसान है, अच्छा महल मिला हुआ है, लेकिन हाय हाय वो हूर अजीरन हो जावेगी. अजीरन in Urdu means intolerable. हाय हाय वो हूर अजीरन हो जावेगी, तबीयत क्यों ना घबरावेगी. I will feel restless. मियाँ होश में आओ, कहीं और दिल लगाओ. So I mean,
बात
that was
खूब,
humor,
बात
and
खूब, बात खूब।
very similar sense of humor you have, sir. Not
रियली बिल्कुल सही कहा। और कहीं और दिल लगाओ मियाँ।
sure, sure. Sir,
भाई
it's
मैंने
been
पूछा बेगम साहिबा तो आसपास नहीं है।
sir, it's been such a wonderful, it's been an honor, pleasure, and बहुत it's like I reckon कि आपको और भी काम होंगे, मैंने आपको हाईजैक कर दिया और आपकी मोहब्बत है, and it's your
देखो जी, काका जी मनु को हाईजैक तो कर नहीं सकता। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਦਾ मूड सी, विचार सी, तो कहा ठीक है, तबादला ख्याल कर लेते हैं थोड़ा बहुत, और फालतू की बातें ना करो मियाँ, जितना कह दिया उतना बहुत।
sir, you are really sweet. You are a wonderful human being, a wonderful person, and very young at heart, sir. Very, very young at heart. Really.
My wife is not here. You can keep on. Go on, go on, go on, go on.
सर
चलो माशाल्लाह
आप
बहुत।
आप बहुत ही प्यारी बातें करते हैं सर। एक कविता या कुछ भी प्रोज या कुछ भी कपलेट वुड यू लाइक टू रिसाइट फॉर अस सर, बिकॉज़ अब हमने
I'll tell
सोच
you, I used to write, मैं कभी सुनाऊंगा। Basically क्या है ना कि जब लिखा है तो शायद I write a bit sad things, जैसे कि आमतौर पे उर्दू शायरी देख लीजिए, जो भी देख लीजिए, उसमें जो उस किस्म के जो शेर हैं, जो आशार हैं, वो शायद ज़्यादा असर करते हैं दिमाग को, जहन को। हा हा हू तो चलती रहती है, बट असली चीज़ तो वही है जिंदगी की, जो है। जैसे आपने बताया, गालिब साहब ने भी कहा कि ठीक है भैया, हूर एक है, ठीक है, वह कितना रहोगे, भागो 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 भागो। So
सर
that's what it is. Real nice talking to you, sir, and I'm really privileged. And
सर
regards to
आई
you
एम
and
प्रिविलेज सर, आई
regards
एम
to
प्रिविलेज
everybody
टू बी
else
सीइंग यू।
also.
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। सर
Khuda Hafiz.
खुदा हाफिज सर, शुक्रिया सर, थैंक यू।
Shukriya.